This is episode 30 of the You Panic podcast. We got a very special guest. Please give it up for the homie. He has been around for a little bit. You'll know him as the owner of Kush Groove here in Boston. Please give a round of applause for Marcus.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
All right. So let's get it cracking. We can just jump right into it. My first question for you is just how long have you been in business? Like, how long have you had this going on? Not even just the store, but how long have you been in this business, this atmosphere business?
So I started my Kush Groove business with my best friend 2011. So
okay.
We've been doing this now for about 7 years.
7 years, okay.
Yeah.
That's what's up. For some reason I felt like it was longer. I remember I just remember like your online presence starting a minute ago. But now that makes sense. 7 years. Yeah, I remember your online presence starting a minute ago, yo. You know, it's grown obviously since.
Yeah, I think when we were starting out, it was really like at the height of when social media kind of became ubiquitous with just how we all interacted, and we were able to just kind of take advantage of all that and really just develop a business out of, communicating with our friends on social media. Right.
That's dope. So it kind of grew organically, yo.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And so this business here, has it, like, how has it been since? You know what I mean? Like, has it been busy? Are there, like, slow, busy periods? Or, how's it been?
I think every business experiences those type of challenges, those ups and downs. I think we're fortunate to have found some success. We operate today with 5 part-time employees, mostly brothers from the neighborhood that we hire, which is something that, we're really proud of. Yeah, and we got a sustainable business. We got a community following that embraces us and, is proud of what we do and shares our values. So things are working out pretty well for us.
Dope. That's good to hear, yo. You know what I mean? Anything we can do for sure to help, we are there.
Yo, hold on. Let me backtrack. I gotta ask a question.
Go for it.
So, what do you actually sell there?
So, as you was alluding to, Rome, like we started the business primarily with apparel and accessories. T-shirts, hats, jackets, sweaters, kind of comfortable, casual apparel with logos and artwork that we designed and our team designed that really celebrated the 420 concept and kind of the celebration of 420 culture. What we sell at the shop now is a combination of our apparel that we design and produce on our own, as well as, your kind of everyday smoke shop accessories, from blunts to bongs to rolling papers to pipes and everything in between. So that's kind of what we sell today at the shop, as well as on our website, kushgroup.com.
Are you guys artists? Like, you said you design everything on your own.
Not necessarily. I mean, we got a team. Me and my partner kind of run the show. What we do as a team is kind of come up with the concepts, help conceptualize them, and then we kind of just, share the vision with our artist, and he's able to do that.
Nice. Got you. Okay. So, as an entrepreneur, why did you choose a career in the cannabis industry? Like, was it an opportunity? Is it like a passion of yours, or was like a mix of both? Like, you kind of gave a little bit of the background just now, but was there anything in particular that made this an easy option for you?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a passion for me that got me in the industry. I love weed. I love smoking weed. I love everything about weed. I love the fact that, like, when I meet new people and we connect around weed, like, we instantly become friends. Like, that's what's really cool about weed culture. So the passion was there. And then on top of that, and I just kind of really discovered this, weed in the weed industry for me has been an industry where no one's really told me I can't do that, right? I've had plenty of jobs. I've been in a range of different professional settings where there was kind of a code to doing things. This like undertone of how things should go down. There's always kind of like these gatekeepers to some degree.
Yep.
But in the weed industry, it's like you can kind of do your own thing and be successful on your own path by carving out your own path. And it's an industry that no one can really tell you no. You can't do that. And so that's why I got into the industry, and that's why I think it's something it's an industry that I found that works for me, because I do a whole lot of different things within the industry.
Yeah.
Based on what I like to do. And so that's why I'm in the industry, because I just, it works for me, and, no one don't tell me shit. I like that.
That's what's up, yo. I feel you on that. You know what I mean? And, like, I've definitely, like, kind of worked with some shops and stuff like that, and I know exactly what you mean, yo. Like, there's no one really telling them they can't do that, Let me jump to the next one. And this is, I'm curious about this. Is there any hesitation from, like, commercial spaces, or we try to, I guess, present this as an idea? Do those landlords kind of hesitate on, marijuana paraphernalia being sold?
I personally haven't had trouble opening my shop, or had any landlord specific issues trying to open this shop.
Was it welcome?
My experience.
What were they kind of like? Oh, that's dope, yeah. Or they didn't think twice about it?
Well, let me say this. I think in business, it's really black and white, right? I think a lot of business decisions are based on whether or not a business can transact, right? So for instance, like, as I was considering this location, my partner and I were considering this location, our landlords, we just happen to have a relationship with them. Their questions were, can you pay the rent every month? And so they didn't really, question too much about what exactly our business model was. I think they were more so concerned about, all right, can you guys pay this rent every month with your business that you have in mind? And so, we were able to answer that in confidence. We've been able to do that, for the last 3 years or so. So I haven't had that experience of hesitation from landlords on, the business model that we have today. Now, I anticipate if we were to approach our landlords, 3 years ago when we moved into our space, to try to sell cannabis, not just the paraphernalia, but cannabis itself, I think it would have been a challenge, right? And conversely, now as we have a state environment where cannabis is legal, this environment where it's legal, we are approaching different landlords looking for retail space to sell cannabis, and we are actually facing some restrictions, some hesitation. So, that's kind of what's taking place now, with the landscape of legalized weed in the state.
Right.
Yeah, Marcus, I got a question. Because when you see, like, Kush Groove, right, the location to me is, like, ideal, because you guys are located where there's a lot of, like, college students that, like, live in that area, So my question would be, let's say in another part of Boston, would you be as fortunate to have, like, landlords that saying, like, oh, yeah, sure, Because I feel like the JP area, even, like, like the Cambridge area, I feel like those type of areas are, the environments are more accepting of that type of storefront. But, like, let's just say, like, I don't know, like, downtown Boston, or, certain parts of, like, Roxbury or Dorchester, would you guys be as lucky to actually open up a store and, like, have the community say, hey, sure, we will want something like this in our neighborhood?
JP, I think, is a neighborhood within Boston that, what we do and what we sell would appeal to that community. I think there are certain communities that if we went and opened up business, it would work for us. I don't think, I'm just kind of throwing this off the top of my head, I don't think I'd be as welcomed in the North End as as I'm welcomed in,
Right.
you know, JP,
Right.
But I also think that, you know, with my model, my brand, I think I do have a broad appeal to really, you know, open up business in a lot of different neighborhoods in Boston, different communities in Boston. And I think that's just more so a reflection of the landscape, how people voted on this issue, how people feel about cannabis in their life and in their community. So I think, you know, it would work in most communities, frankly, not all.
Got you. Nah, that's what's up.
All right, yo, I got one more question.
All right, go for it. Go for it.
All right, let me just keep it 100. I mean, yo, Marcus, you are a black man, you know, so you are a black business owner in Boston that's been notorious for being pretty racist. So, do you feel like that plays a factor in any way in regards to your business or even in regards to expanding the business?
Not really.
Oh man, that's dope.
Not really, because again, like this is a business where not a lot of people have told me no. So I'm not even like anticipating no. Now, like, do I anticipate or have I experienced people telling me no, in a sense that, you know, if I wanted to go open a dispensary, or if, you know, I've reached out and my team has reached out to a couple properties, you know, as we're currently looking for a space for a dispensary, and we've gotten no's just because restrictions, just because, you know, some property owners are just not, this is not what they're interested in having in their space. So I've experienced that, but I don't think, you know, prejudice is going to be something that hinders the success or the growth of my business. Not at all.
All right, cool.
That's what's up. That's what's up. I know you said you experienced the friction. I gotta say, does that come from the banks mainly, like more so than the landlords? Do you think, like, are they willing to kind of? I guess what I've heard is that I guess a lot of the banks don't really want to get involved with that kind of money. You know what I mean? Coming in from that.
I mean, but I want to make a clear distinction too. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not. What I do today is I sell apparel and accessories, and I do events.
Yes.
Like, so I don't really do any business activity that is risky.
Right.
The banks, right?
Okay.
Now, when I open a dispensary, that's going to be different, but I'm not there yet.
Right. But so you don't
Now,
think?
To some degree, however, you know, I'm an event planner, right? And I've had experience using the Eventbrite platform, hosting, you know, cannabis-related events. Recently, I was thrown off the platform for hosting these type of events. So, in some sense, you could consider that like an experience of
Hold on,
resistance.
you said Eventbrite kicked you off?
Of Eventbrite, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I didn't even because you was hosting marijuana related events.
Yeah, you're not supposed to have those type of events on
shit, I didn't
Eventbrite.
know that. Wow.
I didn't know that either. Yo.
So I mean, in some degree, that's like a you could say a banking issue experience that I've had. I've also had, I mean, I guess I've had some banking restriction issues, more so with online transactions and tobacco-related products that I sell at my shop.
Right.
So yeah, so you know there are restrictions, but that's just the nature of business. You're always gonna, you know, experience some sort of regulatory hurdle. That's just what it is.
Gotcha.
I don't really see it as something that's, again, like a prejudice or anything.
Okay. So now you mentioned the tobacco-related product. I'm trying to find the right way to ask this question. Like, you sell tobacco-related accessories.
Yeah.
Do you think after July 1st, once things are recreational, will smoke shops be able to sell marijuana accessories? I'm trying to word it. I don't know if you follow me.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, I think that's a good question. I think so. I think, let me give you an example. So, rolling papers are tobacco-related products, right?
Yes.
They're not necessarily considered marijuana accessories.
Right.
Blunts are considered marijuana accessories. You can't really go into a smoke shop in Boston and find blunts as of today. You might be able, starting July 1st, to go into a smoke shop and find marijuana-related accessories like blunts.
Yo, when you say blunts, do you mean are you referring to like Fontos and?
Well, the legalities in the language of tobacco products like those, they're classified more as cigars, so they're not classified as blunts. So they're not technically marijuana accessories. They're tobacco accessories.
Right. Why aren't smoke shops able to carry that then if they're still under the guise of tobacco? You know what I mean?
I believe they'll be able to be carried July 1st.
Okay. Interesting. All right.
Hold on. So you're telling me a gas station?
That's what I was thinking. I was like,
could sell cigars, but
a
smoke shop cannot because it's automatically viewed as a marijuana product.
Nah, some things are classified as cigars. Some things are classified as blunts. Like, for example, blunt wraps are blunt wraps. They're not cigars. Cigars technically have tobacco wrapped inside them.
Right. I see.
Blunt wraps don't.
I see. That's interesting. Okay. All right. I had to ask that question. I was like, yo, this is, tobacco related products, but I got you. All right. Yo, so let's shift gears for a minute. I know you said you do the event planning, so I guess I was wondering because there's stereotypes that exist everywhere. So, what kind of clientele does your shop bring in versus your events, or are they the same? Like, what kind of people do you see coming in?
Everybody comes into the shop.
Mm-hmm.
Old, young,
mm-hmm.
white,
mm-hmm.
black, male, female.
Right. Everybody coming in the shop. Yeah.
Local, international. Right. Everybody comes in the shop.
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody comes to paint night.
That's dope.
Except for our events, because we do a range of different events, but we do a paint night every Friday night. No, so we serve everybody. I think
no pun intended.
We serve everybody.
Okay.
At our events and at our shop. It's a beautiful thing. We're like the United Nations over there.
That's what's up. Yo, I gotta come through one of your paint nights, yo. You said every Friday's paint night?
Every Friday, paint edibles.
Oh, all right. I definitely gotta come. Yo, and so that's in the shop or is that at another location?
No, it's at the shop.
Okay. Dope. What time's it start?
7:30.
So 7:30 Friday nights, Kush Groove paint nights with edibles. That's dope.
Yo, what's the address?
What's the address? Yo, put that in there.
1536 Tremont Street.
1536 Tremont Street. Be there Friday nights, yo. That's dope. All right, yo. So just moving right along, man. I want to make sure I get to some of these questions. Do you think the weed tourism industry, I guess, will hit Boston the way it did, Denver and all these other states that have gone recreational?
Yes, yes, and I think it's gonna be a whole lot bigger than those places, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because when you think about the Denvers of the worlds, or the Washingtons of the Colorados of the worlds, and the Washingtons of the world,
yep.
They have their own local cultures, but they're not international cities. Okay,
yeah,
and they're in pockets of the world or in pockets of the states that, they're people that come there from those radiuses, right? Like, you're not going to find people coming from Virginia going to, maybe you will. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that, Boston's an international city, so you have people from all around the world who come here all the time.
Yeah, there's more flights that come into Logan.
You have this kind of international tourism that's going to take place. You also have like a regional tourism that's going to take place, like a New England regional tourism that's going to take place. that's going to stretch as far as, I would say, as far as New York. Because, you know, once you get Philly and DC, they're already kind of crafting their own legalization laws. So I think for the first, you know, 2 years or so, maybe the first 5 years or so, you know, we're going to have this this weed tourism industry that's going to have this international element, but also kind of a New England regional element. And, you know, one thing that Boston people who live here on a regular don't really take into consideration is that, you know, we're kind of the capital of New England. So, you know, places like Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, they kind of look to Boston as like the gatekeeper of culture for New England. So, you know, with weed being that another industry here that people are going to flock to, I think it just really adds to, you know, the tourism element that we're going to have and that it's going to produce.
I see. No, that makes sense. So do you agree with just like regulating it as alcohol? Like once it is legal, like do you think it's a good idea to do the 21 plus, you know, regulate it the same way alcohol is regulated? You know, I guess is what they're looking to do.
They already did it.
Oh,
it's already done. It's just being rolled out. It's already done.
Oh, so that's the plan that's dropping July 1st.
That's the plan, yeah.
I see.
And do I agree? Absolutely.
Okay. Now that makes sense because I noticed they made a lot of smoke shops now 21 plus, and I guess maybe that was the setup for it. So no, that's dope. That makes sense. I always figured, I don't know, I always played around with the 18 or the 21, and I agree with the 21 plus, yo. You know what I mean? With a business that sells like, you know, the products that you do you have any edge or access to that? I know you said you were looking at some shops, but do you think that already being in the game or in that, you know, business, in that playing field, does that give you the edge to get access to these recreational businesses? Does it help?
In what way? Edge to get access to recreational businesses in what way?
I guess being able to sell the actual product. Like I know one shop that, you know, was trying to do a grow shop, you know, but it obviously got shut down because that's just not allowed yet. And I don't think he'll ever be able to pull the idea off. But yeah, do you have an edge in at least getting into like the cannabis industry, I guess is what I'm saying, and being able to sell actual cannabis, you know, legally through a shop?
I don't think because we have a shop it gives us an edge. No.
I figured being, well, I guess because it's completely separate still, right?
Right.
Yeah. No, I see what you mean. Are you familiar with the Cannabis Control Commission?
I am.
Okay. What is that, and how are you affiliated, if you are, with them?
The Control Commission is the state's regulating body, kind of overseeing all aspects of the cannabis industry in the state. I do have a role within the commission's kind of regulatory structure, if you want to call. So there's the commission that kind of oversees and regulates everything. There's an advisory board of folks that make recommendations on certain issues and kind of present a sort of accountability force to the control, to the commission. And then there's a range of different subcommittees that kind of operate under those two main branches. One of those subcommittees is the Citizens Review Committee, and the Citizens Review Committee is charged with making recommendations and overseeing the rollout of the state's equity program. And so I'm a state-appointed member of the Citizens Review Committee.
That's dope. How'd you get into that?
Just fighting for weed, man.
That's what's up. Weed. Yo, give it up one time for my man's here.
My man.
That's what's up. That's good shit, yo. You know what I mean? I appreciate you being on the line with us.
On the front line. You know what I'm saying?
Facts, you know. Nah, that's dope, man. So you probably have a wealth of information. You can answer this question for me then. Yo, do you think it's necessary for those who get into like the cannabis business? Is it necessary to have like any kind of backup plan in case like shit falls through? Like there's people who are like, yo, it's not federally blah 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 yet. You know, they can come in and do, you know, this, that, and the third. Is that something that we need to worry about? Do we need a backup plan? You know what I mean? If you're gonna get into that, do you worry about it? You know what I mean? Like,
I don't worry. Nah, I don't worry. I think there's too much groundswell on the side of legalization, on the side of industry that far outweighs the resistance. So I think I don't have any worries. I think it's already here.
It's like there's nothing.
Folks want it. There's not much to stop it.
It's like
what people want.
The resistance is too strong. You're saying it's like there's no way. I see what you mean. It's like it's just it's too powerful. The movement.
What I'm saying is the resistance is too weak.
My fault. Yes, that's what I meant to say.
People who are resisting this thing, you know, you're on the wrong side. You're on the wrong side of this argument.
Got you. Nah, that makes sense. Go ahead, G.
Seeing that this is gonna happen, right? And we're just
already happening.
Exactly. So my question is, how can like brothers and sisters from like Mattapan, Dorchester, Roxbury, how can they invest, or how can they get involved where they can actually benefit from the marijuana industry? And do you think it's going to be easy for like Black Bostonians to actually get involved in this industry that's coming up, that's about to hit Boston?
Let me say this: business is not easy anywhere. Business is not easy in real estate, in biotechnology, in life sciences, in carpentry. So let's not assume that it would be easy for anybody to do business in weed, right? Let's just not assume that.
Yeah.
Now, what do I recommend for brothers and sisters in Roxbury, Dorchester, and Mattapan? Before I make a recommendation, I want to say, you know, my recommendation comes from my experience, right? Like, I can only speak from what I think works and what's worked for me and what I've seen work across the board. My recommendation for folks is, you know, what we really good at as a people is creating, is innovating, is adding color to stuff. Right? Our music is the hottest in the world, right?
Yeah.
Like our influence, our cultural influence is the hottest in the world.
Yeah.
On so many levels. And so I just really, you know, encourage folks to really tap into that in whatever way they can and apply it in whatever way they can to the weed industry. Like, that's a really broad response, but it's really like what I truly believe in. I think, you know, for perfect example, right? I think 2 Chainz is gonna make $1 billion off weed, right? Because I think the dude is just like, he just represents like cultural influence at this time, right? And he had announced he's making this weed called Gas, right? Or he's this line called Gas,
right?
And I'm like, that's brilliant.
Smoking
right?
on
like,
that gas.
That's gas, right? That's brilliant. And it's like, you know, that man, he hasn't reinvented making weed. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody makes weed, but the fact that he was able to like put a brand name on it,
yeah,
I know he's gonna market the hell out of that shit.
Yeah,
it's gonna be cool as hell. It's you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I know
that's
exactly
what folks need to do is like, you know, get into it on the creative end. Now, I think his example is a little bit extreme, right? Like, he probably has all the money in the world.
Exactly.
But I think, you know, like, what we all have, though, is that cultural influence. You know what I'm saying? That sells, that marketability, that ability to create cool shit, create cool products.
Yeah.
Create cool
no, yeah, we throw the sauce, on it, yo. Yeah.
Yeah, but so all right, how about, let me rephrase. Going into that business, right? Like, what do you think a person would need? Like, how much upfront capital would they need to actually be a thriving business? Let's just keep it within Boston, like just a thriving recreational venture. Like, how much upfront capital would they need?
See, I love answering these questions because I like playing the devil's advocate, right? Because you got to ask yourself, why do you want to sell weed? Yeah, right? Like, if your question is, what's the amount I need to start selling weed? I got to ask you, why you want to sell weed? Do you think it's a business model that would actually work? And what's your answer?
Oh, well, hey, that ain't for me. I'm
yes.
doing it for the listeners. So, you know what I mean? I'm assuming there's some brothers out here like, yo, fuck it, this is all I got.
So I guess the listener's going to be like, yeah, I want to sell weed because it makes money. And I'm like, all right, cool. Let's consider what's going on, right? So in order to sell weed, you got to abide by some laws, right? So you got to consider what the laws are.
Taxes.
Yeah.
You got to consider the business of selling weed, right? If you're trying to sell weed at a large scale, abiding by the law, you got to get a license. You have to find a facility to grow it. You need specialists to do all that, equipment. So there's a true cost to all that, right? And I don't know those costs off the top of my head, but there's real cost to that. Now, one of the designations in the licenses, right, is like delivery services.
Yes.
Which is, a much smaller entry
level
into the industry. A much smaller barrier of entry into the industry.
Mm-hmm.
You got to think about the true costs, right? There's some technology behind it. There's transportation costs. There's packaging. So there's real true costs to the business. I don't know what these costs are off the top of my head, but there's true costs to it. So I don't know how to answer that question of, what's the number amount that's going to, produce, an outcome of a successful business in cannabis. I can't answer that. What I will say is that, again, I think it goes back to my experience. Like, this is that industry. Like, if you really want it, you can figure it out. If you don't got to do it all by yourself, you could do it with people, with teams. And that's kind of just how business works. It's interesting that I'm in the space this much to kind of see it for what it is. It's business in a new industry. That's all it really is. A new regulated industry. That's all it really is.
Okay. Yo, are you familiar with the social equity program for recreational cannabis?
I am.
Is that like, I guess, an avenue for people to try and get into this? Like, yo, you know what? Something passed this past weekend, like, about, I think it was like in Dudley somewhere, yo. And I think it was like people who had like felony charges or something like that on them. They were able to somehow get some kind of license to, I guess, tap into the business, like sell. I wish I had. I probably shouldn't even brought up, found out the exact things, but
I could clarify a little bit.
Yo, thanks.
So what happened this past weekend was an event or a series of events helping people who seen themselves as eligible as an equity applicant to prepare their application before the kind of equity application deadline. So the state created a series of deadlines for the application, and if you fit the criteria of someone who's part of the social equity aspect of the program, you were able to apply with priority status from between April 1st to April 15th. So this past weekend in Dudley Square, there was some folks, there was an organization that I'm loosely tied with that was helping folks who were, part of that criteria fill out their applications so they can receive priority access before, the main applications go wide open.
I see. That's pretty dope. That looks like an end. Now, is that the social equity program, or is that something else? That was something else.
That's not necessarily the social equity program, no.
Okay. Got you. All right, yo, I'm kind of gearing towards the last questions here because I know you got to get out of here. This is more so just my own personal intrigue. You know, between papers, glass, and vapes, which demographic would you associate with them, and why?
Between papers, glass,
and vapes. Yeah.
What demographic would I
associate with each item? Yeah, like who buys papers? Who do you see coming in buying papers? Who you see buying vapes? And who do you see buying glass?
Lit. Alright. Black people's definitely buying the frontos and the backwoods for sure.
You're right,
all
right.
day.
Right.
You got maybe 15% of black folks buying papers. The rest is white folks. 85%.
That's funny.
Glass, I would say roughly the same ratio. Probably like the 85, 15.
Right.
90, 10, something like that. And then for the vapes, I think, that 85, 15.
That's funny. So,
yeah.
So the majority of the money is definitely coming from the from like white people buying papers, glass, and vapes. That's dope. Yo, listen, G, you got anything else?
Well, yo, Marcus, I got an idea for you, man. Seeing that, y'all in the Mission Hill, JP area, there's a lot of granolas out here.
Granolas.
So I'm just saying, man, when you start like selling weed, you should have like an organic product, you know what I'm saying? Just for the, for all the vegans out there, you could be like, yo, it's herbicide, pesticide free. Call that shit Whole Foods. Call that shit Whole Foods, bro.
Yeah, man.
That's what's up. Well, yo, listen, we definitely appreciate you calling in, yo. Appreciate your time, man. We definitely try to make it happen.
Yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate what you guys is doing.
Yeah, man, no doubt, man. Love.
Definitely. You know what I mean? But yo, we're gonna wrap it up right here. So if anything, make sure you go to Kush Group. What's the plug the address again?
Yeah, so the Kush Grooves Shop, we're at 1536 Tremont Street.
Yep.
We're open 7 days a week. We make sure to fulfill all your weed needs. You can visit us online. Our website's kushgroove.com, thekgshop.com. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, pretty much all at Kush Groove. This weekend, if folks are hearing this soon, we're having a series of 420 events. Friday, we're having Paint and Edibles Night, a special Paint and Edibles Night that we're doing specifically for 420. Saturday, we're having an edibles competition where we're having 10 different local chefs competing for a grand prize of $250, a trophy. So folks can buy a taster's badge for $50, and you get to taste all the edibles and vote on your favorite chef.
Yep. Anything Sunday?
Say it again?
Sunday?
Yeah, and then Sunday we're doing THC cocktails at Slade's.
Cocktails at Slade's.
Yeah, we doing a whole bunch of things on this weekend for 420.
Man, I might have to come by Slade's on Sunday, yo.
You definitely come by Slade's on Sunday for the free cocktails. I'm telling you, it's the best thing smoking. That ain't smoking. You know what I'm saying? You take a little THC shot with some soda. I'm telling you, it's the best thing, man. It's like happy juice, man. I'm telling you, there's good 70s and 80s music playing over there.
That's just gonna be nice. That's gonna be lit. Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's gonna be lit.
Yo, that's dope. We're definitely gonna have that. Well, listen, thanks a lot, yo. We definitely appreciate it. Make sure always definitely check out Kush Groove. Go to their website. Well, listen, thanks again, yo. And always make sure you go to upanicd.com, upanicd.com. Go down to join the convo and do so the best way you know how. But that's it. It's You Panic. It's You Panic. We'll talk to y'all next week.
Losing my mind, as I learned to keep my composure. Don't really fit the description of sober. Ganja smoker, vigorous toker. Pull the bong, the blunt, the vape a little bit closer. Inhale the plant till the shit disappears, then rise up off of the sofa. They make commercials and billboards and approach you with pamphlets, telling you and your mans to stop it. But I bet they be the ones who blunts they got rocks with. Go back to the shady van, scraping up dough just to cop it. Whatever, everybody thinks they clever like the next man. Theories and conspiracies, every whip is the feds, man. Smoke some shit that made me feel like I was wearing a headband. Had me walking like I was knee deep in shit from wetlands. Enjoy my sober times too, let the brain be untamed. Lungs be unglazed, one saved. You wanna preach about what everybody do, you ain't no saint. Right now I much rather take this smoke break. If you got the time, chill with me and unwild. Do you wanna get high with me? Do you wanna open your mind? If you got the time, chill with me and unwind. Do you wanna get high with me? Do you wanna open your mind? Cats is losing their lives, and they moving towards their maker. How many chances can you get until you surfing towards your savior? Don't really know, so why just blaze up? Change the pace up, write this shit down, and rolling up to burn one down. I'm a blazer from my grandpops, it's in my nature. Thinking on a separate level, my theories being individual and never settle. Don't walk through the garden, avoid walking through stinging nettle, or poisonous serpents that's by the meadow. The stalkers walking hate, they hide and heckle. Oh, we just in hell, but don't mind the devil. You made it there so fast, you couldn't find the shovel. It's like the world is on fire, you wish you could find a puddle. Light went up, knife to death on occasion, just impatient. Why you gonna take it just to break it? Whatever device you wanna get blazed with, get on a spaceship. How you gonna go without the brain lift? If you got the time,